All right, so we are ready to go. So we're back again, second episode of the Fancastic Voyage. Still a great name by Matt. And I can say for a fact, we've confirmed that we have at least one fan because she's joined us here today. So Betsy, third member of the team today.
Home places.
We held off on Matt's choice of Parasite. We'll save that one for next time. But we had to anoint Betsy into the group and allow her to select a movie of her choosing. So, Betsy, why don't you reveal your choice?
Yeah, thanks for letting me join in, guys. I'm super excited. And if I was going to join in, I had to come in with a bang. So I had to pick a big one. So I went with The Breakfast Club, the all-time classic.
Fantastic choice.
Prototypical 80s high school film. I mean, you think about all of them. You think about John Hughes movies. This is one of the first ones that come to mind. Kind of that theme of commonality or common ground with uncommon people or uncommon places. I didn't watch the whole movie in preparation for this, but I feel like I watched most of it in YouTube clips. So I feel pretty prepared there. But the one thing that stood out on the movie poster was it had the tagline of a brain, a beauty, a jock, a rebel, and a recluse. Written and directed by John Hughes, who I don't think you can really say enough good things about. The first thing that comes to mind when I think of this movie, there's two things I guess you should say. When you mess with the bull, you get the horns, and then that dance. When they all dance, I'll forever remember that. But what are a couple things that come to mind when you guys think of this movie?
Go ahead, Bets.
It's definitely like the classic high school film. But I don't know why, I always think about the scene when they're sitting around in the circle, kind of more towards the end, and they're going through some of that dialogue. And they're realizing that they're not actually different. So that's the one scene that I always think of and come back to. And because it's the quintessential scene in the movie. So it brings them all together.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's one of the standouts as far as like coming of age movies. I mean, I feel like everybody, even if they don't realize it, they're a John Hughes fan, just because the sheer breadth of like everything that he's done, with doing a couple of National Lampoon films, 16 Candles, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, this movie, of course, he wrote Home Alone. So there's just this movie in particular, I didn't realize how much of a fan I was until I actually sat down and like I could pretty much play it scene by scene, and I was like actually doing the dialogue along with it itself, and I was like, man, I know this a lot more than I actually thought I did. But yeah, it's just a classic. It's almost perfect in that sense, and it was a perfect choice. I was glad that we got to do this, even though I was to you, Pargoff. I'm usually not a fan of choosing like child casts just because I don't know them too well. And
it was tricky.
Yeah. And we try to avoid like doing the basic Stranger Things cast just in a different format. So
did we try and avoid that, or
I did.
I'm gonna need to change one real quick.
I'm gonna pause for rewrites here now.
While I said that I tried to avoid it, there was still some overlap. But Andrew, if you don't mind, I know last time we did like role by role, like I tell you who I chose for this role, you tell me who you chose for that role. I think, and shoot me down if you don't think it's a good idea, but I think we should each go through each other's respective casts one at a time. So like you, Bats, then me. I think that it'll be a little more cohesive in way of like people will be able to remember who we chose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good by me. I think it's only fair then, since I guess we have, so you have, and if you don't have everybody, that's fine, we can skip over them, but the characters that I had were the 5 kids. So you have Andrew, who was Emilio Estevez, Brian, who was Anthony Michael Hall, Bender, who was Judd Nelson, Molly Ringwald played Claire, Allison, who is my favorite, I don't think it's even close for me,
right,
was Ali Sheedy, And
At
then
least
you have Richard Vernon, the ultimate dick who made me not want to go to high school because I thought my principal was like him.
he is.
As Richard Vernon. And then Carl the janitor were the only characters I had. And then we had the director as well. So
Yeah.
I think it's only fair that since she picked the movie, she goes first. So
Yeah.
So
I
you're
did
up.
create a PowerPoint just in case people did not know my characters, and then I put the faces side by side in case you guys want me to share, because it is pretty fantastic. Okay, so I'll kick
No, it's
mine off.
fantastic.
Fancastic. Okay. I like that. I like that plug there for the name. Great name, by the way. Love it. Okay, so the first character who I actually really struggled with placing, and maybe it is because it's a younger cast and I don't know that many younger actors.
Yeah, sounds
Anyway,
right.
sure. Was Claire, Molly Ringwald's character, and Molly Ringwald. I can't talk. Molly Ringwald is such an iconic figure. She's known for playing like Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, like the teen actress of that 1980s. Anyway, so I had Camila Mendes replacing her, and she plays Veronica Lodge in Riverdale. So she plays like an heiress role already, and I think she kind of has a light playfulness to her, but can really reach in for a little bit of depth, where she can hit like those kind of harder topics that Claire goes through, where she's not just like the prep queen princess. So that was my choice, was Camila Mendes. I think she's a phenomenal actress. She hasn't really been in a ton yet, so really just Riverdale, and she was in a Netflix movie called The Perfect Date. So if you guys have seen either of those, but yeah, she was my choice for princess kind of feel. But I also had, from Riverdale, and as you guys see, I don't know that many teen like TV shows or movies, so you're gonna see a lot of overlap here. But I also had Lily Reinhart. So she plays Betty Cooper, and she was also in Hustlers and Charlie's Angels. I've not seen either of those films, so I don't know what her role was in those and kind of her role, but just based on her being Betty Cooper in Riverdale. Again, she can kind of play like the preppy princess role.
Gotcha.
Very similar to the Riverdale character, and has like some dramatic scenes where she can reach a little bit deeper for that depth. So those are the two I picked for there, but I kind of struggled with her. I don't know if you guys did too.
For me, it was the one I struggled the most with was Bender.
Bender? Oh, yeah. I struggled with him too. But I was happy on the ending choice there.
Yeah.
I do have, well, when you get to Bender, I'll tell you guys, but I did have like one that I would have chose absolutely for Bender if he was younger, but he is not. So
I ran into that issue a couple times. I had to keep it nobody over like 25.
Yeah.
So I think I hit it. I think most of mine are like around that 20-year-old age. So, but yeah, so you had Claire and Allison. Who'd you have for Andrew Clark?
Oh, so actually, Lily Reinhart was also for Claire.
For the same. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I couldn't pick. I could see them both. I'm also a little indecisive.
That's okay. I always do a backup, so I've got my one, and then I have a backup. So.
So for Allison, and this one I truly believe, especially just rewatching this movie, I think dead set on this would be perfect, is Caitlin Dever, who was the girl from Booksmart and plays the youngest daughter in Last Man Standing.
She's in Justified too, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
Justified. She just had that mini series.
On Netflix.
Yeah. I heard it was really good. Did not watch it. I'm not a huge fan of dramas. Sorry. But she's a great actress.
She is.
I think she would crush it as Allison.
That's a really good one.
Yeah. So I felt very confident there. I was like, okay, got that one. Nailed that one. So for John Bender, I also struggled. So my would-be pick, though, that I was like, oh, yeah, perfect. And then I was like, oh, wait, he's 40, is Adam Driver. I think Adam Driver would have made the perfect John Bender.
I'm curious what he would have been like when he was younger. So
yeah, like I think it would have been great.
He maybe just got held back 6 or 7.
So who I did go with, and it is my one Stranger Things character pick, is Dacre Montgomery, who plays the older brother And he is also the Red Ranger from Power Rangers.
Yes, he is.
Which you'll see some overlap there with the big boys. But I think because we've kind of already seen him in this 80s universe playing the moody, misunderstood character, I think he could do really well in this role. Although when I was looking for a picture to put him into the PowerPoint, he does look very pretty boyish, where I was like, maybe not. But like if they gruffed him up a little bit, I think he could play that character.
I will say that he's a part of my cast, so.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming you chose him for my next one, Andrew, because he is that pretty boy. So Andrew Clark, I also struggled with, but I did have two characters that I liked for him. And so one is from Power Rangers. It's Ludi Lin, and he plays the Black Ranger. He's also an Aquaman, and he's going to be in the upcoming Mortal Kombat movie.
Yes, he is.
So I actually think he is a really good actor. He kind of came to mind right away for me, where I was like, I knew I wanted him in this cast because he is good. I originally thought of him for Bunder, though, and then because he plays like the moodier Ranger in Power Rangers.
Yeah, I'm really excited for him to be in Mortal Kombat. That's like one of my...
I'm excited, too. I didn't realize he was going to be in it, and then I was like, ooh. But I know how you feel about Mortal Kombat as well, so I know you're just generally excited for that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, he was in... I couldn't figure out where I placed him first, but he was in an episode of Black Mirror too. That's where I remember.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, I think he could be really good in that role. But as my fun gender swap one, I picked for Andrew Clark, Florence Pugh, who is from Fighting with My Family, and she was also in Little Women, and is apparently dating Zach Braff. Even though it's a 20-year age difference, which is a little bit weird, but whatever. I digress. Age is a number, I guess. I found that out today. I was like, wait, really? Zach Braff? That's who you went with? But okay. To each their own, the heart wants what the heart wants. Aside from her dating life, I actually think she would make the perfect Andrew, because she is kind of sportier. If you've seen her in Fighting with My Family, she can definitely go into that jock role. I know it's also a wrestling movie, so it plays into it. I wasn't thinking of it for that, but she's a great actress. I think she would crush it if we were gonna do a little fun gender swap there.
You know, it's so funny because I am a pretty big fan of hers, because I liked Midsummer. I didn't see Little Women, but I'm also looking forward to Black Widow. She's in that. And I never put it one-to-one that she was in Fighting with My Family. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I couldn't recall it because she looks so different. Yeah. Like crazy different from when Andrew, did you see Fighting with My Family?
No, I haven't. I've thought about it a couple times because I'm like, this is probably something I could watch for the kids, but no, we've just
very good.
Not watched it.
You would really like it. It really was a great movie, a great story. It was good. It surprised me because I was like, is this gonna be good? But it was good though.
Yeah, you can never tell with like WWE produced movies, but
right. You're like, this is either gonna be a lot of the Hulk or it's gonna be an actual movie. I will say they do have the money to put into their production, so in theory, all of their movies should be really good.
True.
Yeah, but I digress. Okay, so my next choice, I'm actually in love with, and when I rewatched it, I was like, absolutely perfect again. For Brian Johnson, the nerd character, I picked Skylar Gisondo, who is from Santa Clarita Diet.
Oh,
and he plays the nerdy boy next door. He's also from Booksmart and Psych. He plays the kid in Psych at points. Okay. But honestly, like, perfect recast.
It actually is. I'm actually jealous that I didn't think of that. But yeah, he's like...
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
Michael Hall a little bit.
Yeah. And I will share my PowerPoint at the end so you guys can see. I put them side by side, and it's beautiful. Yeah. So you can see where I'm going with things. So moving on to Paul Gleason, the asshole character. I struggled with this one too, and I do have a couple different picks, so I do want your commentary. I think you'll have a bit of fun with it. The one that I landed on with the ultimate pick for me, though, was Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters,
I
Miss
love
Kitty in
Ernie.
the Alley. I think he would be just a great Paul Gleason.
Yeah.
So he was my final kind of like top choice, but I had two more too.
Let's hear 'em.
And I just love Adam Driver, so I picked Adam Driver. But I was like, okay, I can't use him for Bender. I'm gonna make him Paul Gleason. So Adam Driver. But then I also thought it might be fun if Jeff Goldblum played him, because I could see Jeff Goldblum having some fun with this.
I thought about that too.
Yeah. I thought he could be fun. I was like, okay, like I could kind of see him taking up this role. So those are my picks for him. I don't know which ones you guys think of those three would win out.
I picture Ernie Hudson. I think he'd be good in it, but he's always been like that endearing, like I don't know. He's always been an endearing actor for me, like playing Winston and Ghostbusters and all of his other roles, like in The Crow. He never really came across as like a dick, but I really like Jeff Goldblum. I think that would be a really fun role for him.
Yeah, I think so too. I was really torn, but as I rewatched The Breakfast Club, I think Paul's character is slightly misunderstood. He is like the hardo, right? And he is, but then he has that moment with I gotta admit, I forgot all about Carl, but he has that moment with Carl where he goes like, I think the kids turned on me. And he did at one point want to make kids better and like actually entered into teaching because he wanted to make a difference. Which I think where Ernie Hudson could maybe toe that line where he is like sensitive, but could also be really hard hitting and like kind of an asshole.
Because he is an asshole in the movie, but you kind of see it like, he's there on a Saturday with these kids that acted out. So yeah, he's being a dick, but a little bit on an understandable level. He's dealing with Bender for most of the movie, who sure, you wind up loving the guy, but he's an asshole. Right?
Oh yeah.
So he's constantly dealing with this. So there is that layer of like, I don't think he means to be. He's just trying to be a hard ass to, I don't know, maybe like scare him straight. But yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so that's kind of where Ernie Hudson edged out Jeff Goldblum for me. But I do think Jeff Goldblum would he'd have so much fun in the role. Be a great choice.
Yeah, I think what that Vernon role comes down to is more of like he's lost his willingness to try to make anyone better because he's been worn down by Bender for so long that he's like, at this point, I'm just going to be a dick because I have no other choice, and this is what I've learned. So I think Goldblum would be super interesting in the role, though.
So what'd you have for Carl?
So for Carl, the character I completely forgot about, and this just came to me because I originally was thinking, and now I can't think of his name, and I love him. He's such a good actor. It's from Wedding Crashers, Dodgeball. God, Matt, you love him. Isn't that movie you made me watch? Vince Vaughn. I originally thought of Vince Vaughn because I'm like, okay, that could be fun. But then,
I can totally see it.
Right? I was like, Vince Vaughn could make a great Carl. Like, just like a weird cameo of Vince Vaughn. I'm like, such a good actor. Like, but I landed on Luke Wilson. So I went with Luke Wilson as Carl because I thought that would be also a pretty great pick. So,
yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Did you think of a director at all?
I did. So because he is my favorite director, I was leaning towards Taika Waititi. I can't. You could tell me 100 times. In fact, I've tried to like look it up correctly 100 times. But I'm like, he's too hot right now. It's like, you think of Zoolander, so hot right now. Yeah. I'm like, I can't do it. Like,
he's in everything. He's directing for Marvel. I think he's possibly, I don't know if it was actually confirmed, but he's also not starring, but he's going to be in another Marvel film.
Yeah.
He's directing Star Wars. Like, he's everywhere.
Yeah. So I was like, I think he would do great, but he's not what I'm looking for. So I went with my other favorite director, which is Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau's great.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
We've
He's just
seen
a
him.
great catch-all director. Like he can pretty much do almost any genre, I feel.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was like. He's very well-rounded. And then if you think to the Marvel films he did, which is Spider-Man, he's worked with a young cast before and really made them shine. So I was like, okay, he's got the chops to work with these younger actors. And then I was thinking back to Chef too. So you know that he has great storytelling ability.
Yeah,
So I was like, yeah, he's got to be my one for the director.
that's good.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah, that's a great cast.
So I was pretty happy with it. I felt good, except for the ones where I was indecisive and I couldn't choose.
There's some that I totally wouldn't have thought about that are really cool. I like Florence. I don't know how to say her last name. Pugh. And I really like the guy from Booksmart. I can't remember his name. That would
Skylar Gizmondo.
Yeah.
Gizondo? Yeah.
Gizondo.
Yeah.
Well done.
All right,
Drew,
what
do
about
wanna
you?
go next, or do you want me to go next?
Oh, let's go with you.
All right. So I'll start with the kids, and then I'll go with the adults after that. So Andrew was really the one that I struggled with probably the most. And thinking about it, like Emilio Estevez is supposed to be like, he's the jock and the pretty boy, but he's also not like, he's a wrestler. He's not a football player. So he's not like your prototypical quarterback of the football team. So the one that came to mind for me was Ethan Kutkoski, who is Carl from Shameless. So
okay.
the end.
You got me at a disadvantage. I don't know who that is.
Have you seen Shameless?
No.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know if he's been in anything else.
The American or the British one? I know.
The American.
Okay, I can see this.
So the last couple seasons, I'm not even up to date, but in the last couple seasons, he's training for joining the military. So like he's in good shape, and he kind of has that. He's not too tall, so he's not great in stature, but he's kind of got that wrestling build. So it was some of that. He plays.
I can see him.
He plays like damaged, but like still kind of perky and positive well, which I think there's a little bit in Andrew that you get to unpack over the course of the movie. But I think he also can be pretty funny, but also when he needs to be serious on the occasions or in the occasions in the movie that he is. So that was my only choice for that one.
I like it. I can see it.
Do not disturb.
Yeah. I like these like.
Let's turn those off. Good Lord. Okay, so now that's some. So I had Brian next. So that was Anthony Michael Hall's character. Only the one that came to mind for me, and I do think it's funny that we're diving into like the Netflix catalog of teen rom-coms and dramas, was Dylan Minnette, who is the main character from 13 Reasons Why.
Oh.
The kid with the dark hair. He was in that Don't Breathe movie, which I don't care what anyone says. I like that movie.
That's a fantastic movie. And you know what? Fede Alvarez is a horror genius.
But he's got some range in the sense that he can certainly play emotional, and he also, for the whole 13 Reasons Why, he's playing that teetering on the edge of a breakdown, which really is what doing when they're in that kind of group therapy session that they have together. So I thought that could be good, and he'd be good in that role.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that one. I think that's a good choice.
Let's see who's next. We'll go Claire next. So for Claire, I had two choices. One was a redhead, so she's not my favorite of the two, but that was Sophie Turner. I think Sophie play like well-off, sheltered, living that lavish life pretty well.
You would choose her.
I was going to say, did you pick her because you think she'd be good or because you love her?
So what if it's both? That's okay.
Why limit ourselves? It can be both.
There may be some nepotism here, but that's okay. The one that I actually think would be better is Haley Steinfeld. I think Haley Steinfeld would be really good.
Yeah.
Because she plays like innocent and sweet really, really well. And I think this where her and Bender kind of get into it and he breaks her down. I think she could do a lot with those scenes. Specifically.
Yeah, great choice.
So, while I did compliment Caitlin Dever as your choice for Allison, there's only one person, in my opinion, who can play Allison, and it's Zendaya. I think seeing.
I thought about that.
all the little things. So, like some of the scenes that I watched, there's a lunch scene where Bender tosses her the can of Coke. She opens it and it spills everywhere, and like she doesn't touch it, but she slurps it off the table. She opens up the pixie stick and pours it in on the sandwich, but she like licks some of it as she's pouring it. Like there's physical elements of comedy. She can be serious, which Zendaya was incredible in Euphoria. If you guys haven't seen Euphoria,
it's on my list.
She was really good in that. There's so many little things that she does, like the scene where Andrew and Bender get into the fight, and Bender pulls the switchblade out and shoves it in the chair. You just see Allison reach over, grab the switchblade, and then go back out of frame. Like she does so many little things like that are just. I mean, she's my favorite in the whole movie, but I think Zendaya would be really, really good. She can command a presence without speaking, which I think Allison does from time to time.
For sure.
She's poignant, but she's also absolutely hilarious, which I think is kind of why that's my favorite character of anybody in the movie.
I don't know her. I've honestly only seen her in Spider-Man and the Disney Channel show that she came from. I can't even think of it right now.
Yeah, and she plays MJ in Spider-Man, who is pretty much Allison.
Yeah.
In the first movie.
So Euphoria's that HBO show she's in, and it's much darker than anything else that you've seen from her, but she's not like incredible range. I love her. I think she's great. So that was my choice there. And then I have two choices for Bender. Now you put that 25-year-old age limit on it, so I think I broke that for both of my choices. But this wouldn't be the first movie that casts a 30-year-old to play a high school. There
are some people out there that are like almost 40 that look like they're 17. So
yeah. So the two that I had, I'm gonna go with my first one because when I was going through some of the pictures, there's an older picture of him with Bender's almost identical haircut, and it was Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller with the long hair was very reminiscent of Bender, but he's not my first choice. My first choice is Douglas Booth. If you guys have seen The Dirt, he plays Nick Six. He's in another one of my favorite movies, Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. That's not really one of my favorite movies, but it's hilarious.
Okay, I love that movie. Don't knock it. It's so bad it's good.
Yeah, well, speaking of so bad it's good, he was also in Jupiter Ascending.
I love that movie too. Oh my gosh, I tell people all the time, I'm like, it's so underrated.
Is it though?
But it knows what it is. That's what people miss about it. It knows that it's a bad sci-fi fantasy movie, and it lives into it.
So what it seems like is, Betsy, you know what it is, but it doesn't know what it is.
I don't think the Wachowskis know what it is.
You admitted that you liked it because it is so bad that it is good.
Yeah, I said that about Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. I did not say that about
I
but
thought
either way,
both of them are in that category.
Either way, we can bridge the gap there. But he's got the brooding and the angst elements of The Dirt, which I thought it was certainly interesting and captivating. Machine Gun Kelly plays Tommy Lee, the drummer from Motley Crue in the movie too.
I thought you were suggesting Machine Gun Kelly for a role in the.
No.
Like what?
No. Going way new. It's actually just a whole different movie.
My Zoom would power down on me if I did that. It would just be like that. But from that, where was I? I think just that stand out, the Christmas scene, the whole it's another banner year at the Bender household. Cigarettes. Does Barry Manilow know you rate his wardrobe? Like lines that are so good, and he's such a prick to everyone, but you still like him, which is I think more difficult to do than you would think. So I think those are the kids, And then for Carl, I had two. So I went more kind of off the board and a little less mainstream here. I had Dean Winters as my first choice, he's Dennis Leary's brother in Rescue Me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Riley and Oz, and then he's Mayhem from, I think it's State Farm? Not State Farm, but he's Mayhem from
Oh, that guy. Yeah,
Yes.
he pops up in some weird things.
Yeah.
30 Rock.
So,
He's great in 30 Rock.
Yeah, he really is.
yeah,
good
he
in
is
30
really
Rock.
good. Carl has like he's in like what, 3 scenes maybe, if that, and he's only,
I think so.
Very limited.
he's on camera for like 3 or 4 minutes, but he delivered some super impactful dialogue. So I feel like he's someone who can capture that. Or my other choice was Matt Walsh. I think Matt Walsh would be really, really good from Deep. His name escapes me right now. The bald guy with the mustache.
Yes.
All right, I gotta go to Google. I don't know this one.
He's in a ton of like Will Ferrell movies.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. You're like, oh, it's him.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which I feel like anybody that plays Carl, like one of those actors would portray him.
Yeah, because it's like you can place him, but not exactly from where.
Yeah, you know who he is, but you don't know his name.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think I'm going to make history on the show. We're only 2 episodes in, so it's easy to do that with one of my choices. I'll give you that one first. So this is the first time that we're going to suggest to recast someone from the original movie in the remake, and that would be Judd Nelson. Bender. Judd would be really good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
He's
that would actually be really good.
He's got, if you remember Airheads, he's the record, he's like the agent or works for the record label. He's sleazy, he's kind of thick, but basically Judd Nelson's career arc from like mid-80s to now has been like playing somebody who's kind of a prick, who, it just has some of those character defects, but I think he could pull Vernon off really, really well right now.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I didn't even think about that.
Perfect. Me
Yeah,
neither.
that was I was really excited about that one. But my other one, who I think might even be better, this role screams J.K. Simmons for me. Like, I think J.K. Simmons would. It's a lot like Whiplash in the sense that he.
I was gonna say he killed it in Whiplash. Similar role.
But yeah, that was what stood out to me, is like that basically screams J.K. Simmons, just with a lot of the stuff I've become familiar with of his.
Very much so.
So that, I think Vernon is who I'm most proud of. And then for my director, I feel like we're borrowing from a lot of the same stuff. So my director, I think Olivia Wilde would crush this. If you look at Booksmart, and kind of the themes of Booksmart are very similar. It's that coming of age. It's inclusive. It kind of makes everybody feel represented. And it does all of that without trading the humor for that. Like, I feel like Superbad is a Judd Apatow movie, so it's got that middle 40 minutes where you're like, this could just be cut out of the movie and the movie would be better. I think she did a really great job with Booksmart in doing that, to where you're not like sacrificing anything in exchange for the comedy. So I think she'd be really, really good.
Yeah, not only that, but I think a lot of people haven't seen Booksmart because they think it's just like a female remake of Superbad. But if you see it,
I said that.
It's
first.
not at all.
Yeah.
it's so much more than that. It's really well done. And for like a freshman directorial debut, very good.
Yeah, to go on record, I was one of the people who said that and was like, well, I'm going to pull my foot off the top now that I've seen it.
I think Matt did too. By Tunis.
Yeah.
Like I was like, hey, yeah, I think I may go see this movie. And he goes, what's that? And then he looked it up and he's like, that's just female Superbad. And then like a week later, he's like, you need to see that movie.
He would not stop talking about it.
Yeah.
He is the reason I went to go see it.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, like, I'll go see it, whatever. Like, he's not going to shut up until I do go watch this. So
Yeah,
he
was hounding me. I mean, it's the same thing with like, Parasite, where like Andrew, I told you, like, see that movie. I'm really looking forward to it. And I said the same thing with Booksmart to Matt. And then time just slipped away and I never got around to seeing it in theaters. and then that person was like, oh, you need to see it. You need to see it.
Yeah, you gassing people up to go see movies that you recommend, and then I get so excited to come back to you and tell you about it, and you haven't even seen it.
I haven't.
My soul a little bit.
I'm upset that I never saw Parasite in theaters. Like I told you that there were like 2 separate times that I went to Livonia, where my movie theater is, to go, and then I just never did. So that was disappointing. I saw it. Fantastic.
All right, thank you. You're up.
Wait, who's your director?
Oh, Olivia Wilde.
Oh, wait, right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So there's actually a decent amount of overlap. I'm just going to tell you the ones that we pretty much had the same ones on. 2 of them, Andrew, my backup pick for Vernon and my backup pick for director. So my backup pick for Vernon was J.K. Simmons.
Okay.
And my backup pick for director was Olivia Wilde. So because of Booksmart, I mean, coming of age film, it just screamed this. And then Betsy, I stole Dacre Montgomery, but not for Bender. I thought, because he has played kind of like the bully, the asshole in these high school films and shows. I thought it would be kind of relieving to see him in Andrew Clark's role. Primarily, like you had mentioned, Power Rangers. I mean, Jason the Red Ranger is pretty much Andrew Clark.
Yeah, 100%.
That's him. So Dacre Montgomery for Andrew Clark, and then my backup is Ty Sheridan, who, if you know, he was in Ready Player One. He played Klops in the X-Men reboots, or I guess prequels. They're not really reboots.
Yeah.
So he, I think, has that like very down to earth, but also jock type feeling.
Yeah.
Both knocked that out of the park. So that's who I have for Andrew Clark. My second would be Claire, and I'm proud of this one. And it's kind of like the same thing where you chose Sophie Turner. I'm choosing Maya Hawke. I absolutely love Maya Hawke, and I think she'd be perfect in it. I mean, she's in Stranger Things. So Dacre and Maya Hawke are both in Stranger Things. I hate putting Stranger Things actors in here, but they're both very good.
I'm actually kind of mad that I didn't think of Maya Hawke.
I
am. She's so good. She's so good.
Speaking of having a life carved out for you already, must be nice when Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman are your parents.
Right?
You got a pretty secure career plan in place, but
you have to.
Yeah,
you're absolutely. Just gonna come into the world as a superhuman. Like that's.
Yeah.
Oh, she was also. Oh, maybe I didn't know that. She was also
Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, she was one of the women in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, she's the one that backed out, that tried to get them to stop, and then she just runs away.
Flower Child is what she's credited as.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Then my backup for her is Kiernan Shipka, who was Sabrina Spellman in Sabrina show on Netflix.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
She's a great actress.
Yeah, she is. And I thought about maybe putting her in Allison's role, but I think she'd do better in Claire.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a toss-up.
I could definitely see her in both roles because she can hit that moodier side, because I only watched maybe like 6 episodes of Sabrina. It wasn't my type of show. But she definitely can hit the moodier side of things. But she is kind of preppy. Yeah. Because I've seen her in other things. And she does hit that preppier side.
And I don't know Sabrina that well. Like, I know Sabrina from, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Like, so she always came off as like a nerd, and then in the show, she kind of seemed popular. So that threw me through a loop. So that's why I chose her as Claire. It's because she already kind of plays a popular role, and she does it really well. She's endearing too. Like, Claire doesn't come off as like a bitch.
Right. Yeah.
She is nice.
That's why I struggled with her too, because she truly is just like a nice girl,
Yeah.
like a nice character who does have that popular element. So you had to play you couldn't go for because one of the original Claire's that I had, I actually think I took her off of here, again from Riverdale, was Ashley something. I can't remember her last name, but she's in Katie Keene too. But she's tended too much towards a bitch, like bitchy mean girl type of cast. So it's like I had to take her out. But yeah, so like that is the interesting part about Claire, is she's popular without being mean. Because one of the lines between her and Allison, and when she's giving Allison that makeover, and she goes, "Why are you being so nice to me?" And she's like, "Because you're letting me." So like, you know that she's just a general nice character. She doesn't ostracize anybody because she's popular. It's like once people open up to her, she just generally is nice. So
See, but then there's the part when they are sitting in that circle when Andrew asks is it Andrew? No, Brian asks what's going to happen on Monday. And then that Claire is like, I wouldn't say hi to you. She's like, my friends would. So there is that element of like, she grapples with her status and how the people around her so heavily influence kind of the decision she makes or things like that. So I do think a little bit of that where she kind of explores it a little more deeply, and it isn't just this, she's not unchallenged and doesn't have anything to worry about. Like the more you get, there is a little bit of that to unpack. So I do think it's an interesting layer to that role towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then next I have Allison. So for this one, my backup I had in the number one role for quite a while. I'm just going to start with the backup, and that's Storm Reed, who, if you don't know, she was in A Wrinkle in Time, and she was also in this movie. Came out last year, kind of under the radar, shocker art house film called Waves. She was really good. Because she does kind of play like the quiet, nerdy girl in almost everything that she's in, and I think she could definitely do that. Now, I had originally chosen Zendaya, but I didn't want to like I said, she pretty much plays Allison in the first Spider-Man, so I didn't want to repeat that. But that's still a great choice. But who I have as number one is somewhat of a no-name who's only been in, I think, one or two other things. And her name is Eliza Scanlon. She is in an HBO show called Sharp Objects with Amy Adams that came out 2 years ago. She was fantastic. She's actually in a movie.
Oh, I actually know her.
Yeah,
She was also in Little Women. She played Beth.
Yes. And then she's coming out in a movie called Baby Teeth, where she has her hair cut and she looks pretty much like Allison. And she kind of plays she plays a popular girl in Sharp Objects, but she's also got like this quiet creepiness to her that Allison kind of has at the beginning. And I think she knocked that out of the park for sure. So that was my choice. I think Eliza would do really well. And then Brian Johnson, for me, not proud of it, but I feel like he'd do really well. And that's Jaden Martell, who is Bill from It. He plays the child version of Bill. He was in Knives Out. He's probably been in a couple other things, but those are the only that I really know him in. And he's 17, so he meets that that kind of age range, and he always plays a nerd. Kind of gets
that new Apple TV show, that Defending Jacob.
Yeah, with Chris Evans,
featured character. Yeah, yep.
Yeah. And my backup for that is a little bit of a no-name. His name is Levi Miller. He was.
I know him.
Yeah, he was in Pan, that weird movie with Hugh Jackman as a bald. What's his name? Captain Hook.
Me or Hook?
Yeah.
And he was in a little-known horror movie that was really good called Better Watch Out, which is pretty much a play on Home Alone, but it kind of flips it on its head, and he's like a sociopath that is trying to win the affection of his babysitter. And he plays a really good sociopath, but he plays nerds all throughout, like all of his roles. So
He's also in A Wrinkle in Time.
That's right. So one thing that I noticed is a lot of my picks, they actually weave together. So like that 6 degrees of separation type.
Yeah.
And lastly, the one that I had the most trouble with was, well, not lastly, I still got 3 more after this, but John Bender. So I was originally going to do David Montgomery, but I didn't want to like typecast him as like it's the same thing that he was pretty much playing in Stranger Things. And the one that I have for that, he's getting more and more popular. His name is Alex Wolff. And he was the main character in the new Jumanji movies. So he's
okay.
The Rock. He was in Hereditary.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So he definitely plays like a Brian character most of the time, but I think you put a leather jacket on him and like the bandana, and I think he could play like the hard ass.
I think he could too. I actually really like that pick.
Yeah, I was proud of that one. And then my backup for that is the kid. Now I don't watch the show, but it's the kid that plays mini Bruce Wayne in Gotham. His name is
that's a good pick.
David Mazouz. And he looks like he could play a prick pretty well. So
he's definitely got the moody acting part down. Like, I mean, because obviously Gotham is just all moody.
It's just
acting.
moody and cheesiness.
I gave up on it.
I watched like 2 episodes and I was
second
like,
or third season.
Yeah.
Oh, I made it deep. Well, not deep. I made it 2 seasons. But anyway, only because of the Penguin actor. Whoever played the Penguin was so good.
Robin something. Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, he is a good choice because I can see him like falling into that moody role. He's got some experience. Like I could see them, but I love your first choice. I can't remember.
Yeah, Alex
but the
Wolff.
guy from Jumanji, Alex Wolff. I think that would honestly, he would be really good.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he'd do really well.
I think he would be very interesting because he could bring a softer side to Bender, where it's like you could see kind of the different layers to the Bender onion.
Yeah.
He's so hard to cast because Judd Nelson did such a good job.
I didn't realize this, but he's got a brother that's also in acting, and I forget what his first name is, but he was the main character in the Death Note adaptation.
Oh.
He was in a like teen rom-com, I believe it was, called Paper Towns.
Yeah, that's one of those John Green movies. I refuse to watch them.
I think it falls in.
They're all gonna die at the end. You're just gonna be sad. I'm sorry.
Like,
spoiler, they'll all die.
Someone's got some kind of illness that they can't recover from.
Or it'll surprise illness that comes out of nowhere by the end. They're both ill.
Spoiler alert. This is a spoiler-free show, Betsy.
I'm sorry. I've never actually seen any of them. I just know how it ends.
Okay, so I don't mean to digress here, but we have to at least mention there's been 100 episodes of Gotham.
Yeah, it ended.
I just went on the IMDb. There's 100 episodes of Gotham.
Yeah, I think 6 seasons, like 20 apiece or something like that. It ended last year.
That was on Fox?
Yeah.
Yes. With one of my all-time favorite troubled lead actors.
I knew you were going to.
As James Gordon. Ben McKenzie as Ryan Atwood from the OC will forever have a soft spot in my heart.
What about
This is good for a fact.
Did you ever watch Southland?
Yes.
Southland was fantastic. He was in there.
Yeah, I ride or die with Ben McKenzie.
Yeah. So those were my picks. I had Dacre Montgomery as Andrew Clark, Maya Hawke as Claire Standish, Eliza Scanlon as Allison Reynolds, Jaden Martell as Brian Johnson, and Alex Wolff as John Bender. So moving on to Carl, another one of those actors who you've seen him in 100 things. You probably don't even know his name, but Shea Wiggum. and he was in Boardwalk Empire. He's most recently been in Joker. He plays a lot of either tough guys or police officers. Oh geez, I've got it pulled up right here.
Oh yeah, okay. He's the brother in Silver Linings Playbook too. That's a big one that he.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. So he was in those. He was in True Detective.
He's in Waco too. He's the lead FBI, like SWAT guy in Waco.
Always plays the cop.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also the cop in Death Note. So
yeah,
an adaptation, which ties into Alex Wolff. So
that's a good one.
Yeah. I feel like he'd be perfect. But if you want to go for a I guess more popular pick, Nick Offerman. I think he could play Carl. Especially when he's like, I am the eyes and ears of this institution. Like, I just picture him. So
that would be, because he goes through that whole bit about, he's like, I go through your lockers, I read your letters. Like you want someone who's really going to make them all feel unsettled by saying that more than someone else. So Nick Offerman is a really, really good one.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Those are my Carls. And then Richard Vernon, I had quite a time with. J.K. Simmons was always my go-to because he does play that. I mean, J. Jonah Jameson is like the worst side of Vernon. So, but I think my number one pick is Joel McHale. I think he would, because he always plays that asshole. So
I love him. I don't see him in this role, I'll be honest. But I love him. I think he is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and I think he could really work with this role. I mean, he is endearing in like Community. But I feel like every other role he kind of plays a Vernon type character. He's kind of typecast as a little douchey.
He's definitely got the douche part down, but he's always so comedic to me. That's where I struggle, because Vernon to me is not a funny character, but I think that's just because I think Joel McHale is just hilarious. So maybe I need to step away from my own bias there.
I can just see him as that though, like teacher stuck at Saturday detention. He doesn't want to be there.
He is a teacher stuck in Community.
Yeah,
by the end, like he does kind of play that role.
Yeah.
So this could be divisive here. Joel McHale.
I didn't hear that.
I despise Joel McHale entirely. He ruins Community for, well, I guess Chevy Chase ruins Community for me. But
Chevy Chase.
Joel McHale, if Smarmy was a person, it would be Joel McHale. He's just, and he's funny, yes, but I feel like, I don't know what it is, but there just are intrinsically those people who you have that adverse reaction to, and he's always been that person for me, like, whether it was The Soup.
Soup, oh my God.
Community.
I used to love that show.
I've tried to watch Community no less than 5 times, and I just can't overcome my Joel McHale thing.
I can't believe it.
I don't know what it is, but he just, and then he had to hop on and be the guy who hosts the Tiger King after special episode. Not do Joel McHale anymore. Can we just? I mean, he would be really good in this role, I will say.
He always plays those roles too, because he was the asshole in I Love You Man, right? Was he in?
No, that was oh my God. It was one of the guys who, I don't know if he was a Daily Show correspondent or whatever. He's also in The League. He's the guy who dates who does Michael marry in The Office? Holly. He's AJ from The Office who dates Holly. That's the guy you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
Mm-hmm. Is it Rob something? I don't know, but
he was in Ted as kind of like that character.
No, I mean, he'd be great for this role.
Yeah.
I would just be really rooting even harder for the kids than I was before, which I guess as an
I still can't believe this. surprised.
I guess this is kind of like, this is the SpongeBob theory of when you're a kid, you side with SpongeBob, but when you're an adult, you get Squidward so much. Like now,
It's so true.
managing people, like I understand and deeply sympathize with Richard Vernon. I never say before, but it hits home more than I'd like to admit.
So last but not least, my director pick, my backup was Olivia Wilde, but my go-to is someone who has tapped into that John Hughes feel twice already, and that is the director of Spider-Man: Homecoming and Far From Home, John Watts, who, I mean, that first movie, hell, even the second one, huge John Hughes vibes all throughout. Like that not Far From Home, Homecoming pretty much could be directed by him.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so that was mine. And yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of this one. I had some issues with my Jaws casting, but this one.
Yeah, this is really good. Like I said, Betsy, before you got on, I was really excited for some of the other choices you had. I think between Ferris Bueller's Day Off and I can't even remember what the other one was now. Those are the two that I was really pulling for, but like sitting down with this and actually watching some of the clips and getting kind of refamiliarized with this, I was really happy that this is the movie that you settled on. So
It was Princess Bride or Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
The Princess Bride would be
is
another
good,
one that
too.
would be a lot of fun to do.
I think I couldn't choose Princess Bride only because of Andre the Giant. Like I wasn't ready to unpack that one.
It would have to be the Big Show. The Big Show
And Billy Crystal.
who could play that.
Honestly, that's one of those that I don't want them to remake just because Carrie Elwell.
Oh, please never remake it.
No, yeah, Carrie Elwell. Everybody in that movie, they were perfectly casted, and I don't want anybody else in those roles.
Inigo Montoya is what's his name? Mandy Patinkin. That role is like there are very few roles that I feel like if you see someone's face and they have those one or two lines, it's another one of those guys that you're just like, that'll forever be ingrained in the back of my head.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I thought it would be really fun, but I was just there. Although I thought the same thing about this movie where I'm like, it's too perfect. Like you really shouldn't touch the Breakfast Club cast. But I don't know. This one, I chose the Breakfast Club because they have such archetype characters. Like, I mean, it's the tagline. It's the princess, the jock, the brain, you know. And I thought, okay, it'd be really fun to kind of cast that.
To the whole point of what we're doing, I don't condone any remakes for anything. I don't want them to do that.
To be clear, come up with original shit, please.
Exactly. But if this were to, did you know? This actually kind of makes me sad, but John Hughes' last credit for writing was Drillbit Taylor.
Oh no!
Oh,
With Owen Wilson?
that's so bad.
I didn't know that he wrote that.
The only thing worse than that is that I saw that movie in theaters.
Oh.
That is worse.
But to make you feel better, he was born here in Michigan, so he's a Michigander.
Go Michigan. There's so many famous people from Michigan. I don't know why I'm always surprised. Like, yeah, it's because Michigan is, the best.
We're superior, and we even have a logo named after it to prove it.
Bum.
Well, I think on that note, to stop me from making any more shitty jokes like that, I think we will call that a day. Betsy, obviously, for a few reasons, thank you for joining us. Thank you for picking this awesome movie and getting us to have this much fun doing it. And we'll definitely have to have you pick another one very, very soon.
Yeah, this was so much fun. Thanks, guys. I was like so stoked. I did all this research. I was so excited.
All right, well, we have to cheers before we go because we did that last time. So that'll be our come on, Betsy.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I had to show the label.
Are we all drinking Michigan craft beer too?
I should hope so.
Yeah, there we go. We're just bragging about Michigan, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. Catch you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.